you wanna see what I got the other day?
We want to see it, don't we, viewers? Here on Full Record Check It with Phil and Ben. What have you got, Ben?
Oh, hello. I got this the other day because I really liked the single when it came out of it's called The Lucky Ones. It came out a couple of years ago, I think 2022. And it is I got this Jude by obviously Jude Lennon. I've not listened to it yet, but it has given me I do quite like Julian Lennon.
He was never known as Jude, was he? He was known as Jules.
Jules, yeah,
And am
because
I
the
right to
original
think that McCartney wrote the song "Hey Jude" as "Hey Jules," and then they turned it into "Hey Jude," and then so
yeah,
he's
yeah,
now, because the song was about him or inspired by him,
by him, yeah,
he's
yeah,
now using the Jude name.
yeah. And then because I bought that, then I listened and I hadn't listened to it before. I'd sort of put off listening to it, and I listened to his. Because I don't think even he had done it. I'd listened to his version of Imagine, and to be fair, he does sound very much like his dad.
I
Obviously,
didn't know he'd done Imagine.
yes, he did it a couple of years ago. It's actually quite. God, I went really high pitched there. It's actually a really good version because, like I said, he sounds like John. He sounds like his dad, and it's a really, really nice version of it.
Does it
So
differ very much in the arrangement?
yeah, there's obviously a different sound and everything to it, and I think it's slightly slower.
Okay.
But it is a really good version. I don't know why Imagine gets played at Christmas all the time. It's not a Christmas song. Like Stay Another Day by E17 isn't a Christmas song. It's just got bells in it. But yeah, Imagine isn't a Christmas song, but it is a very, very good version. I think he recorded it for Christmas. But I am looking forward to listening to that album because I do like Julian Lennon stuff. I did like Sean Lennon's stuff as well. I bought his debut solo album, and I quite like that. But I know in the night, what was his first album called? Julian Lennon. Is it Valetti?
I can never remember this, and it's got "Too Late for Goodbyes" on it,
It
and
has,
lots
yeah.
of other songs which I don't really know very well. And I saw people talking about this online the other day, actually, that it's one of their favourite albums by the son or daughter of a famous artist.
Artist, yeah, because I think it was released in 1984. I know it did really well in America. I think it broke the top 20 on the American Billboard. But I have listened to a little bit of Danny Harrison's stuff as well, and he's quite good as well. He looks ridiculously like his dad as well, doesn't he? And Julian, there's definitely, and with Sean, there's some Lennon DNA in there. James McCartney, is it James?
Yes, he's called James. Yeah, the son.
Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
mean, he
He
plays a
can
little
get
bit of guitar, doesn't he? Which is
didn't
okay,
didn't
but
he didn't get the cute gene, did he?
no, not
No,
entirely.
no. But yeah, I sort of don't know too much about that. I've got that first album on vinyl, and it does make me think because obviously you had mentioned that it is a lot of people's favorite, and I didn't realize how big an album it was at the time. Really,
And when you think about it, 1984, that's only really, I mean, because John Lennon was murdered at the end of 1980.
so it's only
So
about
this is only,
3 years.
yeah, it was a very short time frame. You tend to forget that, don't you, when
No, no,
you didn't live
yeah,
through it directly? But I did live through it, but I was quite young. But yeah, I mean, I suppose it was to some extent
yeah,
still the emotions of that were prompting people to
yeah. I think
listen
he
to
got
it.
a Grammy for that. Not, I don't think he got a Grammy. I think he got nominated for a Grammy. I'm
This
sure.
When you listen to that "Too Late for Goodbyes," it's not a million miles away from the sort of music that John Lennon was doing right at the end of
The
his
end, yeah,
life, was
yeah,
it? There are things
yeah.
like "Borrowed Time" and "Watching the Wheels" and all that era.
Yeah,
Um,
because I think I don't know. Yeah, because then he did. What was the one about the? Uh, I've got it down here. Saltwater Eyes or whatever it was. that one. I remember that one being, Salt. I remember that being big in the
That was around
early
90. Was that around 92 or 94?
Oh,
it was the early 90s.
Because I don't know. In fact, let me bring it up on here. Let's have a look. So we've got some facts.
It's either 92 or 94, and I'm trying to think if I can place.
Oh, here we go. 1991. It was on the album "Help Yourself," which marked a return to a more melodic sound, despite containing one of Julian's most introspective songs, "Saltwater." Which became a hit in Europe. The album failed to make a significant impact in the US. So, and then I think his next album after that, according to this, was one that I bought, which was Photograph Smile, which I really enjoyed that album.
I've not delved deeply into it, I must say.
I quite enjoyed that album. It kind of had it was almost sort of, I think because it obviously it was a couple of years after the anthology finished, but it kind of had a similar feel to me. I'm going back 20 odd years since I'd probably listened to it, but it kind of had a bit of a Flaming Pie feel to it.
Okay.
Because I think both albums were sort of almost looking back, if you know what I mean. Because I think Flaming Pie, obviously the title Flaming Pie and everything, I think they're a bit retrospective or whatever it was, but yeah, Day After Day, really good song. I got that on CD single. I remember buying that at the time. I think he was even on TGI Fridays with that song. He was definitely, if he was on TGI Fridays, he was definitely on Top of the Pops.
Okay.
So, but yeah, this Jude album, I'm just seeing there's anything on here about it. There isn't anything, but it's just got a few fun facts from what I've just brought up here. But I think it's. I know I've read a few reviews and they've sort of said it's middle of the road sort of stuff. But I did like that young. Was it Young Ones? Not Young Ones, because that's Cliff Richard. Lucky Ones. It's got a very sort of contemporary feel to it. That song. It's kind of got that sort of indie pop vibe to it. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring a bit of Julian Lennon to the part. I think I need to listen to that. How do you pronounce it, Philster? You're a wordsmith.
What, the Julian Lennon album?
Yeah.
I must admit, I'm not entirely sure. I'm guessing it's Velotte, but I don't know that for sure.
Is it Velotte? I'm going to go with Velotte.
I don't even know what. I know I have a gap in my knowledge if that means something, because I don't know what that means.
I have no idea. Do you know what? Do you know what I'm going to do, Philster?
Yeah.
I am going to.
It only shows up as a song. It only shows up as a song on an album by him, unless you count the Virginia State Lottery. Velotte is a Julian Lennon album. It doesn't mean anything else. It's not a
word, or
it's not a town in Malta or anything like that.
Oh yeah, because it does sound slightly Maltese.
That's Valletta, isn't it? But it sounds
yeah.
It just makes me think it could be some Mediterranean resort or something. But
here we go. Velotte. Oh, even if you put it into the interweb, it just says Velotte is the name of a song and title track of the album by Julian Lennon. The song's title comes from the Manoir de Velotte, which Lennon described as a kind of dream house that inspired the song.
Okay.
So maybe that was his Magic Pie moment.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was the same man who was on a Magic Pie in his dad's dreams had come down to him with a completely made-up word that just confusing two middle-aged men best part of 40 years later. But yeah, I must admit there are a couple of Beatles children's. What do you think? Zach Starkey was in Oasis. He's been in The Who. So And Danny Harrison, go listen to. I do like some of his stuff. Sean Lennon. It's just James McCartney that's really dragging it down, isn't it? Musically.
I've not listened to any of the stuff that James has done, I have to say, apart from I know he plays guitar on one of the tracks on the Flaming Pie, Paul McCartney
He does,
album.
yeah. Didn't he play on Egypt Station as well? Or
I think he may well do, but he plays on the song called Heaven on a Sunday. He plays guitar solo on that.
Oh, does he?
That's him. I can't think what other Paul McCartney records he's on, but he may well be on Egypt Station. Yeah, that may be right.
Would you listen to a group that had Zach Starkey on drums, Danny Harrison, James McCartney, then the two Lennons? You could double up on Lennons, couldn't you? You could have a doubly up of Lennons, couldn't you? Would you listen to that band? Would that band work?
I don't know. It might be okay. They might be all right. Yeah, wouldn't necessarily be. They probably wouldn't live up to what people hoped to have from it, but it might be. They might be able to do something that's okay.
It'd be interesting to know if you put them in a room together, what kind of output they would put out. I would be quite intrigued by that. So if you put them in an album, say, I tell you what, it'd make a great TV show. I don't know why nobody's ever thought this concept before, but I don't know. Give them, say, like 4 to 6 weeks.
But hasn't this already
to come up with an album from scratch?
But hasn't
Sean crew films them?
Hasn't Sean Lennon done something with James McCartney recently?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. But I'm talking about the 5 of them together. Right. This is a concept never heard before. So this is the first, people of YouTube. So you put all of them in a studio. I don't know, maybe in the west side of London somewhere. I don't know, near a big rugby stadium. And then it's coming from scratch, and they've got to record an album from scratch while being filmed in about 4 to 6 weeks. And at the end of that 4 to 6 weeks, they have to perform some of the songs from that album, I don't know, in a high top place that nobody can really see them. I think that concept is not only original, but I think that would be really good. It'd be interesting to see what they would come up with in that period of time.
It would be interesting to see if they could come up with anything much,
Yeah, because they are obviously creative people. Even James McCartney, I heard he does a brilliant souffle.
I'll tell you what, I suspect that James McCartney wouldn't come up with a Let It Be and a Long and Winding Road and a Get Back in that time. Yeah. But it's possible that Sean and Julian together might come up with slightly more than what John wrote in that time, because essentially what did John Lennon actually write during the whole of that Get Back / Let It Be period? He wrote basically Dig a Pony,
Come Together.
That was a bit later because that's the Abbey Road.
That
was after. That was what he did. I think he started doing it after this January 69. He basically did Dig a Pony. Dig It doesn't really count as a song, does it? It's just a jam.
Yeah.
The one after 909 was an old song that goes back to the early 60s.
Yeah.
And also Across the Universe, he'd already written in early 1968. So he didn't really write very much that was new during that period. It was probably Don't Let Me Down, which is a great Lennon song, a top-notch Lennon song.
Yeah.
So that's probably and Dig a Pony, I think I like Dig a Pony, but I wouldn't say it's a great song, but it's an okay.
And not a quintessential Lennon track.
So I think really Don't Let Me Down is the only really great Lennon song that he came up with from that period, where you could argue that Long and Winding Road is a great McCartney ballad, and you can say Let It Be is great, and you could say Get Back is a great rock and roll song that's certainly become certainly endured, hasn't it? And then he also did I've Got a Feeling, which is also a very good quality rock song. So Macca was definitely coming up with more. So I'm not sure that James is going to echo that level of creativity, but maybe Sean and Julian could outdo Dad in that.
Yeah. Oh, you got Danny Harrison as well on the sidelines. He's got a few good albums under his belt.
So he might come up with some songs.
I think it'd be an interesting concept to do. I know it will never happen. It will never, ever happen in a million years.
Unless they see this video, Ben, and suddenly
Well,
decide,
obviously they will.
hey, do
Yeah.
you know what?
Do you know what? He's onto something. It's never been done before. I don't know. Maybe in about 50, 60 years, on a, I don't know, a holographic streaming service, they could release the documentary and all the unseen footage of it.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe.
maybe that could happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted, because I wanted to test, not test your knowledge, because I've already done that once today, but I just wanted to see where we stood on the whole Julian Lennon thing. And
I think his music's okay. I have never listened to in-depth Julian Lennon, to be honest with you.
no, nor have I. And I feel like now I've got this album. Obviously, Photograph Smile I did get at the time, but it was a fleeting. I enjoyed it, and it was very much a fleeting sort of thing. And I do remember at the time getting into it, thinking, "Am I only listening to this because of his surname?" And it's almost like I suppose it's not nepotism, but you are giving people a chance because of where they've come from. But I'll be interested to see what this album's like and maybe revisit a little bit of Julian and Danny Harrison. I have had a fleeting experience with his solo work, and that's good. And like I said, I did buy what was it called? Something to do with the sun. Sean Lennon's album. I will get
Wasn't
the
there one
title.
called Around the Sun? Or have I got that wrong? No, that's an REM album, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
There was something about the sun, Julian Sean Lennon. Was that in the 90s that he did that?
Into the Sun.
Into the Sun.
Yeah, so that one, because I remember the music video too.
I
It was almost
remember that.
walking. Yeah. So that one, and I did get the follow-up album as well, which is about I think it was called Friendly Fire. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, because I think I copied his haircut because he's very sort of. I've just had a look at I mean, Sean Lennon's 48 now, but this is a picture of him. Sean Lennon looks more like his dad than his dad looked like his dad, doesn't he?
He does have a little bit of his
He's obviously got
wackiness as well. He's got a few of his mannerisms as well sometimes.
Yeah. He is a very handsome man, though, isn't he? Look at him. In fact, he looks a little bit like me. We could almost be brothers.
You could be, couldn't you?
Yeah. Well, we've both got faces. I mean, he does look frightfully like his dad there. He looks a little bit like Brandon Lee. Do you remember Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son? He got killed while making the film The Crow. He got shot.
Oh, vaguely. Yeah.
He looks but look, get these two together with Zach Starkey, Danny Harrison, and Jimbo, and I think we're onto something, Phil. So we could start a revolution, a musical revolution. We're going to bring back the 60s, me and you. That's what we're going to do. Possibly. Maybe. Could happen. Make it happen, Phil. I want you and you out there in YouTube world. You need to make it happen. Because if you don't make it happen, fairies will die.
And that, viewer, with that thought, we will leave you. Thanks for watching.